Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the King in It podcast.
Welcome and thanks for listening.
Did you do the Mongol Rally as well?
I did the Mongol
No
Rally.
way.
I'm not, I would never lie to you. I did it.
So did I.
Shut up. You weren't there. You only got any friends to do the Mongol Rally with.
Whatever. So, if you're brand new here, welcome. My name's Craig. This is Amy. This season is about the Mongol Rally.
Yeah.
So if you're like, what on earth is the Mongol Rally? We drove 12,000 miles across the entire planet.
Yeah.
Well, not the entire planet, a third of the planet.
Yeah.
In a little Fiat Panda, didn't we, with four mates?
Fferanda babes was good to us. Or was she? We'll get on to that.
Coming up.
Little dickhead.
I thought you were calling me a little dickhead then.
No.
I was like,
well, you are
calm
too.
down, I'm the host. Like,
You are too, that's fine.
disrespect me.
Don't respect me.
So on the last podcast, we talked about Turkey.
Turkey. La Turkey.
Well, Turkey. We talked about getting stuck under a bridge, experiencing 1,000 hot air balloons flying over Cappadocia at sunrise.
Just beautiful.
We're just spoiled, aren't we?
Tarts of the spoilt realm. I don't know.
That's a t-shirt right there.
I'm really tired. I don't know what's going on.
Tarts of the spoilt realm. Wow, that was like straight out of a Game of Thrones book.
Oh dear, I'm crying now. I've got strange
Don't
eyes.
cry,
I don't have
babes.
hay fever. But
Your eyes are a bit strange.
Back to the registered programme at a scheduled hand.
What are you crying for?
I am quite emotional this week, but we don't need to talk about that. That is a whole different podcast on its own.
Why are you emotional?
Oh, this and that, you know. I've just got wicked friends.
Yeah.
I was. It is going off subject a bit, but let's just pop this bit in. I wrote a blog post for warrior women this week, and they asked me who my warrior women were. I read it wrong, and I thought they said, "Are you a warrior woman?" So I started talking about myself, and then I read it back. I was
yourself.
like, "They are not on about me." Just erase that little bit. But I picked three of my favourite people, CH32, Charlotte Hall from our Instagram, who we've met loads of times. She's lovely, proper body confidence woman. Chloe Smith, obviously, from Big Moose, who does a bunch of stuff for charity, and she's just one of the strongest people ever. And my good friend Keris Sadler, who works for Click Sergeant, which is the charity that supported me while I was going through cancer. Three incredible women. And I don't know, they just got back today and I was just like, oh, I just want to cry. And like the sun's gone in and the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm just like, let's just have a cry, shall we?
Yeah, it's been an emotional week.
Yeah.
If I was going to write a blog post on warrior women, you would be my number one pick, babes.
Is that true? You're such a doll, Craig. I would have put you, but you don't have the right genitalia. Anyway, talking of emotional,
Moving on.
today's podcast probably will be a little bit emotional.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So we're talking about Iran. Sorry, you interrupted me in the middle of my
Apologies.
recap of the last podcast. We also talked about having our first proper breakdown.
Mentally, or
and how we grew as a team. Both. Mental breakdown, car breakdown. And how you pretended that you'd had a terrible accident
Oh,
and used fake blood to prank me.
I did. If you haven't
In Armenia,
listened to that one,
of all places.
I felt so bad. I'm still sorry.
So if you haven't, go and listen to episode 3 so you can catch up on all the inside jokes, because you might get them then. Also, the competition is still on. We're still getting reviews from you guys.
Incredible.
So all you have to do is leave a review on Apple Podcasts, innit?
5-star.
If it's not 5-star, you're not winning.
You are not in the competition. Hang on, is that illegal? Is that like bribery?
I think it is, yeah.
Oh, but that's okay.
Sue me.
Sue me now. Go on.
5-star review, entered into the comp, and you could win some King in It merch.
Yeah, which we're actually wrapping today. If you're
Yeah,
watching,
we're both crowning today.
If you're watching the podcast, I'm giving you a little wave here. Hiya. This is our King in It merch. Look lush today.
If you're not watching, Amy's got a wife beater on with a crown on it.
Wife beater. Will you declare to? Would you
declare to
Would you like to?
a vest top?
A vest top, yeah.
Yeah.
It's lovely. I don't beat wives. I don't have a wife. And I wouldn't beat her if I had one. I'm a feminist, Craig. Moving on.
So in this podcast, like I said, we're going to be talking about Iran.
Let's do that then, because it's
What?
about 6 minutes in and we haven't spoken about it yet.
A country. Woo, mama. So, before we do that...
Oh, for God's sake, here we go. What now?
Let's have a thanks for our sponsor, shall we?
You got a sponsor.
We've got a sponsor.
Oh, congratulations, kinging it.
This week's sponsor, this season's sponsor is Babbel.
Babbel!
So have you ever wanted to learn a language but thought, I just haven't got the time and I haven't got the confidence maybe?
Definitely, yeah. I'm just not smart enough, I thought. But that's not true. Sort of. 50% not true.
50% not true. So Babbel will get you speaking a language in a matter of weeks. So tell them about Babbel, Aim. What you love about it.
All right, off the top of the dome, right? So I just loved, because we were in the car for so long, I would download my lessons before I went, because obviously Wi-Fi in Iran is not possible. It's illegal. Well, not
Wi-Fi's illegal.
Not illegal. Like the internet, like Facebook and stuff, you can't get on it. So
for the record, you can actually get Babbel in Iran.
So you pre-download your lessons, get in the back of the car. You just do it to yourself.
Do it to yourself.
Yeah. You
Babbel, do it to yourself. So yeah, it's an incredible app, and you can link it to your phone and your desktop. So if you fancy doing it on a big screen, it'll save your progress, and then you can carry on your phone, which is wicked.
Yeah. And
they've got like 10 to 15 minute lessons, real life conversational stuff.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's not like, they make it super simplistic, don't they? And you know, there's pictures to go along with it, and it's kind of like a game in a way.
Yeah.
Where sometimes, you know, it's multiple choice and you have to guess what the word is you're looking for. And that's fun. That's not like, oh my God, I've got to go and learn Turkish tonight. You're looking forward to it, like, and it's a good fun.
Yeah.
So Babbel were actually one of the sponsors for our Mongol Rally series, which ties all this in nicely. And it's just lovely to see how people, you know, the people of Turkey would react to you when you know, like, the slightest bit of their language. They, like, accept you as their own, you know? It's really a lovely thing to do for people, and they really appreciate you more. So definitely. What's the end bit? Can I say it? Try Babbel today. Just go to babbel.co.uk or download the app for free. That's Babbel, babbel.co.uk, and download the app for free. Babbel. Learn a new language and make it your own.
Fantastic, babes.
Thank you. You think I could be one of those, like, speakers?
I reckon. I mean, you are one.
I am.
Speaking
I do speak.
right now.
I do speak.
Speak a lot.
I mean, like on TV or like an audio book. Like our friend who does the porno audio books.
Yeah, he does.
We'll have him on soon.
He's got a great voice for that. So on the last podcast, we left you at the hotel in Armenia where there was a devastating, bloody scene that wasn't actually real.
Yeah.
So
Good fun.
After I got over the shock of thinking my girlfriend might die in a hotel room.
Get over yourself.
We were actually on the way to this hotel, which we didn't mention on the last podcast. Somebody drove into our car.
Oh, yeah.
And they crushed the whole front wheel arch and bent our mirror in.
That was actually really terrifying because they didn't stop and they didn't seem like they cared.
No.
It was like a transit van, wasn't it? It was big. It was bigger than us.
He clocked us, drove into us. We were looking out the windows at him, shocked, and he was just deadpanning us.
I was screaming at him because I thought he was going to run us off the road because he was just like point blank didn't give a you know?
No, he didn't give a shizen, did he?
No. So there was that.
Good start. So we were about to drive to the border of Iran.
Yes.
Which was like, we were so excited.
Everybody was buzzing, weren't they?
Yeah.
I think this was the favourite like feeling of the rally for me because I knew we were going to meet all of the new guys, and obviously to begin with we didn't want a convoy, but at this point I was like, let me at new people, you know, and it was really cool. And we had some reservations and we had some anxiety about it all because obviously, as we all know, Iran is kind of vilified in the media. You only hear bad news coming out of Iran, don't you?
Yeah.
Because nobody holidays there. It's not a holiday destination. Supposedly it is, but we didn't know that. You know, the vast majority of people that don't live there wouldn't think to go there on holiday. So it was a bit like, what are we going to run into? Is it going to be dangerous? You know, for a start, we had to have a guide, didn't we?
Yeah, if you're from the UK and a few other countries, you can't just go there So yeah, just in case you're like a spy or something, you have to have a guide from border to border. So that in itself is a bit like, oh wow, they don't trust you to drive through the country. But obviously, the problem with all of these kind of things is like when you hear about a country being terrible through the media, you know, we don't listen to the media anyway because most of it's just propaganda bollocks.
Yeah.
But it's always government to government. They'd never say the people of Iran are this.
Yeah.
It's always like they compare it to all the bad stuff that happens. So obviously there are parts of Iran which are more dangerous, and you might be more likely to be kidnapped in a terror threat or something like that. But obviously having a guide, he took us to all the places that were safe, and things like that. So when we actually met the people, it was just game changing. But
so I think down south is much more dangerous to go to, but we literally stuck to the top of the country and just made our way through the top, didn't we?
Yeah, but
we dipped down a little bit.
There were actually people who did the south as well on the rally.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Australians, because I think if you're Australia, you can just go there and you don't have to have a guide, which is mad.
But I was worried though, like, you know, we thought to ourselves, okay, so we're going to have an Iranian guide. Will he speak really good English? Will he have his own car to follow us in? You know, we thought he might be really strict. He might be like a teacher. This might be like, you know, terrifying.
Yeah. Why would it be terrifying though?
Well, just because he might be really scary looking, you know? Might be a scary guy. And if he's stuck between you in the back of the car, you'll be like, hiya. You know? Would you like a mint?
So before we set off, I don't know why you took this long to stick it on the car, but Amy's mum gave her like this little heart-shaped thing with
it wasn't little, it was massive.
It was a massive heart-shaped sticker with a sign in the middle. So the funniest story ever. Before we left, Amy's mum genuinely gave us this advice. And she said...
This was before we went to Paris because there was, a terrorist attack in Paris.
I'm not laughing because it was a terrorist attack. I'm laughing at the advice your mum gave you.
So the advice of Helen B was...
If people start shooting, run in a zigzag.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that advice really, can you?
Like super bad. When he's running, he's going in a zigzag. He's going, it's the fastest kid alive. He's the fastest kid I've ever seen.
I actually think you're supposed to do it if a hippo chases you as well.
Oh, really?
Because they can't turn that fast.
Oh, that's good advice.
Yeah, I mean, top class, A-star advice from Helen B.
So we stuck that on there, so in case anybody else wanted to use that advice, they could read the car.
We've told you, yeah.
So we got on the roads, and it was actually super mountainous going through Armenia to Armenia. So it was like up and down these winding mountains, and again, it was like loads of pickup trucks, trucks full of like sand and cement and stuff. And they were flying around these corners.
And it was drop-offs, wasn't there?
Huge drop-offs, yeah. And because it was so hot, it was like in the 40-degree heat.
Oh my God, I remember.
We were having to stop Fferanda because the brakes were smoking. Like we were like, oh shit, the engine's overheating, and there was just smoke coming off the brake calipers.
Yeah. But bearing in mind, like we were flying through Georgia, through Armenia because we had to be in Iran like the next day. So it was every second counted. We couldn't really stop for that long. We had to keep going.
Yeah.
This is why she took a battering, Craig. This is why she unfriended us in the world.
She did.
Not even just on Facebook, like
blocked and deleted.
Yeah.
So as we approached the border, because you kind of drive along the border for quite a long time.
You drive it, yeah.
Yeah,
drive.
So we got there, and there was like this huge brown river and like a huge fence with like barbed wire and like watchtowers like dotted every couple of like 100 meters.
Yeah.
And it all looked a bit like, because I don't know, most borders we'd seen is literally just a sign saying welcome to wherever the country was.
And then you pull up and you see someone on your left, and they go passport, and you give it in.
Yeah, but this border was just like a river and barbed wire and watchtowers. We were like, wow, this is like
heavy.
This is a serious border.
It's heavy, yeah.
So we got to Agarak, which was the city we met the convoy.
I think it was the hottest when we were in Agarak, wasn't it?
This is the hottest temperature we've ever experienced, and the hottest we had on the whole rally.
My goodness.
It was 47 degrees Celsius.
Oh my God, that is mental. Yeah, you couldn't stay in it, could you?
It's hard to even describe it. It's like actually, if you're in a sauna, you know when you breathe in and you get that hot air that hits your throat, that's how hot it was. It was mental.
Yeah.
So you couldn't stay outside, and I don't know how the boys cope without aircon in their car. Because if you didn't know, we had aircon in ours because we were posh like that.
Proper posh. But I think I was really worried about that heat because if you don't know, if you've never been to Iran, which like chances are you haven't, the women have to dress from head to toe. You need to have a hijab, which is on your head to cover all of your hair. You can't show your hair, basically. And an abaya, which is like a head to toe long dress. And I was just, I'm a fainter, Craig.
Amy is a big time.
Everybody knows Amy's a fainter. So I was a bit apprehensive, a bit anxious about what would happen in the heat. Yes.
So yeah, this is the first time we met Ollie and Aidan. We got to the hotel and the team Tyrannosaurus Rex with it, or Trianosaurus Rex as Amy calls them.
I've been brought up knowing that, what is it?
T-Rex.
So Trianosaurus Rex is how I would say it. That's what I thought it was.
Dinosaur that tries really hard. Tries his best.
It's a shadow of me. You know what I mean? It's like a mirror of me.
So yeah, it was the first time meeting those boys, and we didn't know it yet, but without Ollie and Aidan and that car, we would have been in the shit completely. The amount of times they saved us.
Yeah.
Because they actually had tools for one. They had a tow bar
and a brain between them.
and a brain.
So that helped.
So yeah, we met the boys there. We had a few beers.
They had what did they have? A gila.
A Vauxhall Agila.
A gila.
Yeah.
Which I actually think is doing the rally again this year. And
is it?
They had done it that was the second time it had done it for the boys.
Unbelievable, that, isn't it?
Incredible car, honestly.
Yeah. So if you're going to do it, think about getting one of them.
And they had it painted like yellow, red and green, was it?
It was like the Jurassic Park theme, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was super cool. So yeah, we met the boys. We had a few drinks. Jess actually drank like a bottle of vodka. Yeah. Somehow.
Just her. Nobody else was drinking. Just Jess. Just a bottle of vodka the night before.
What a maniac. And then we were just eating so badly for the whole trip. It had been terrible. And we watched the vlog back, and our dinner was a wet pepper and bean soggy sandwich.
I love it.
Fantastic and nutritional.
That would have been one of the best things we had on that rally. That's saying something, you know.
It actually was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the whole time we were in Turkey, Amy was like, I'm going to get an abaya and a hijab and I'm going to look lush.
I wanted something very special. You know, you see these Iranian princesses with these beautiful colours and everything. I wanted something like that. And I thought, oh, well, I'll get it in Turkey and then I'll have it in preparation. But there was nothing in Turkey. It was very expensive. So
the next morning, we were at the hotel. Jess actually bought something. I don't know where she got it. But
she got it in Turkey.
She got it in
Turkey.
Turkey.
It was pricey. And you know me, I'm like the bargain queen. I'm like Depop and eBay are my best friends. I never really like to buy anything full price.
Yeah.
So when the guy was like, yeah, it's like £32, I was like, you are having a laugh. All right, yeah, Jess, if you want to get it, you get it, babes. And she did.
So Amy ended up with Will's shirt.
Yeah. Long sleeve.
Florence Nightingale blouse and a pair of jeans.
I did, yeah.
You look like a Neil Buchanan of Art Attack.
I did look like a painter. It was like a water pastel paint kind of shirt, wasn't it? I looked like a douchebag, basically. Jess was this beautiful Iranian princess and I just looked wrong.
So we were on our way. We went to meet the boys at the border. Someone actually brought a bottle of champagne because you can't drink in Iran. So someone brought the champagne and we toasted and everyone drank it. And
yeah, so we were buzzing though, weren't we?
Yeah.
We finally got to meet our... What is it? Another 5 cars full of boys?
5 cars. It was about, I didn't even know how many of us. It was about 14 of us, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. But
it was a big crew, strong crew.
And we've been talking to them now for months in this WhatsApp group, and everyone kind of knew everybody. It was just putting faces to names, wasn't it? We were buzzing, because we were doing such an exciting thing going into Iran, and then meeting a whole bunch of new friends to do it with. It was class.
The funny thing is as well, a few of the boys said this after. They knew that we were YouTubers, and so they were worried.
You 13 years old?
no, we are technically YouTubers, aren't
I
we?
always say that. What do you do for a living? And I never want to say, oh, I'm a YouTuber, because I sound about 13 years old. I'm a YouTuber.
I'm a YouTuber. So they said that they had reservations about us and, and what we were going to be like, because they thought, they're going to be two douchey kids who'd be like, oh my God, welcome to my channel. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad that they realised that we're like real people and we're not like...
They actually went full circle, didn't they? They loved the fact that we filmed it, because we all would have forgotten those memories.
Exactly, yeah. Know? And there were so many funny ones.
Yeah.
So, we met the whole team, and I remember it's on the video, because there was another Ollie.
Yeah.
He's Canadian, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was the nicest kid. He was so young. He was like 20.
Yeah, very young.
He was
very
20
shy.
years old, yeah.
Yeah.
Super nice kid, really, really polite.
He was lush,
but probably the most clumsy kid I've ever met in my life.
Worse than me.
He was worse than you.
That's mad.
So like we were passing a champagne round, and Ollie takes a sip, and it just comes out his nose, and he chokes everywhere.
And obviously the fizz went everywhere. Oh, that was the first.
If you're listening to this, Ollie, you, without knowing, you made us laugh so many times.
Yeah.
Just from your clumsiness.
Yeah.
But what a ledge. So yeah, we were all there. We got to the border, had a little drink, because we wouldn't be able to drink. It was only 5 days we did in Iran, wasn't it? 5 or 6 days?
It was a 5-day itinerary, like all planned out for us, because we'd paid for this beforehand, which is why we got kicked out of our bank for like terrorism actions, paying money over $2,000 to Iran.
So you got told off straight away, didn't you, by the border guards, you and Jess?
Yeah, pretty much.
Watch
yourself. We had to wait like 5 hours for all our paperwork to be done in the Iranian border, and then when we finally could get going, me and Jess had to go and give our passports in, but we weren't wearing our headscarves. And the guy there, he was horrible.
Was he?
Yeah, the face on him, like if looks could kill. And he was like, "Where is your hijab?" And I was like, "Oh shit." Oh shit, son. Get back to the car. So we ran back and put some scarves on, which mine was, I think Jess's was a real hijab, but mine...
yours was a 50p curtain from IKEA, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly
Actually
right.
was.
Yeah. I was going to use them to like drape above my bed, but they just work lovely as a headscarf, so there's that.
Oh, brilliant.
50p though. My mum works in IKEA, so she gets well good discount. Do you know what I mean?
50p curtains.
Literally, our house is IKEA.
So for you guys, it was, you were worried about the heat and you had to dress head to toe, and we've been like wearing shorts and next to nothing the whole trip.
Yeah.
And there was actually rules for men as well. So we were allowed to wear t-shirts, but we had to wear trousers.
Long trousers.
Which like, it doesn't sound like it would make that much difference, but you don't get any breeze in trousers, and the heat was next level. But yeah, when we got in, the guard said, didn't he? He said to you, "Welcome to our country, nice to meet you," and he was like super friendly.
Yeah, because he was wearing the whole, like an army guard. He had a gun, but he was like one of the only guards up until this point that had spoken to us or spoken to us kindly. Wasn't asking us if we had fags and alcohol in our car in abundance.
Yeah.
He was just like, "Thank you so much for coming here." And I just thought, wow, thank you, mate. That's bloody lush.
And then we got introduced to Rashid.
If you're watching this, you can see the massive smile on my face. One of my favourite people on planet Earth.
The nicest guy ever. And like you said, we had like preconceived ideas of what possibly a guide might be, like kind of strict and like we need to go here, here and here.
Yep.
Rashid was the most down-to-earth, flamboyant, friendly, funny guy we've ever met, I think.
Yeah, he was amazing.
You crying, yeah.
I remember I told you I'm like proper emotional this week.
Don't
Just thinking
cry,
of Rashid, I'm like, I wish I was there with him now. And yeah.
He brought us dessert. Like that was our first thing. Yeah, every day. But he like came with this Iranian dessert and some forks, and he passed it around. And
from his hometown.
Yeah, so we'd arranged the whole trip through a company called Overland to Iran. So if you're going to do the rally, you have to do Iran. You can't miss it.
Yeah, don't even come to me for questions on the Mongol Rally if you ain't going to Iran. I'm not gonna answer one. I will not answer them.
So we had the hotels, the route, and the guide. Rashid was included. So it cost about £590 per person, but that was including insurance for the car and obviously the guide and the hotel. So it was a little bit pricey for 5 days.
Yeah. It will boost up your your financials when doing the rally, which is why a lot of people don't do it. But the experience, if you're going to do this, do it, guys. Like, go big or go home, I say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we ended up waiting in no man's land for 5 hours whilst they did the paperwork.
Yeah.
And at the time, it felt like kind of long and slow, but I would do anything now to just go and sit in no man's land with all the boys, because we would like play card games that
was when we really got to know each other, wasn't it?
Yeah, just sitting around shooting the breeze and just talking shite. But it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think we got used to that. We got used to that waiting at borders and that time where we would just do nothing. Like, we'd spend an hour just kicking a football around at certain points. It was so good. So we got through. We were in Iran. The whole convoy was there, and it was the first time we convoy properly. So we were at the back, obviously, because Fferanda was a little bit shit. Yeah. So everyone had to constantly wait for us. Yeah. But it was so cool driving through these mountains and just seeing all the cars, all the Mongol Rally cars. They're like got jerry cans. Yeah, it was all vibrant. They're all like stickered up. And just another incredible drive. I know we keep saying it, and it's hard to differentiate between the different like landscapes in different countries. Colours. But it was like, again, it was just like this brand new set of colours and pine trees and blue rivers flowing through it. It was so lush, wasn't it?
Amazing. Yeah, it was super cool.
So the first thing that we noticed was that every single car we saw was smiling and waving frantically at us.
They were so intrigued, weren't they?
It was unbelievable. Like, at first we're like, oh wow, everyone's really friendly, and then we're like, oh, there's another car waving. Oh, and there's another car waving, and it just kept going and going and going.
I'm sure we said at one point, I feel like Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Or I feel like this was my home and I've just returned.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like everyone's like, oh, welcome back. And I'm like, oh, thanks.
It's really hard to get across how welcomed we felt.
Yeah.
But it was, our faces were hurting. We got to the petrol station, which was probably an hour's drive from the border, and we were just all smiling so much. Like, this is crazy. Like, we've never experienced this in the country.
Yeah.
Because part of me was like, is it just the cars? But we'd already driven through Turkey and a million other places, and nobody was like that happy to see us.
I just remember the one time that the woman had written on a piece of A4 paper, "Welcome to Iran," and she held it up and was doing like a little heart sign with her fingers, and I was like, I love you.
Oh,
everybody would turn around in the back of their cars. They'd be waving. The kids they'd be holding their kids out the windows. People on motorbikes would be trying to talk to us through the window. Just amazing. It was lovely. So lovely to see.
But at the same time, it was so sad to think that the way that their country and their people are portrayed is like a bad place. Because you're like, wow, like, we'd seen videos before, so we kind of knew that they were going to be friendly. But to experience it was just like, another
level. Yeah.
Another level. So we drove for a bit, had a couple of waves and smiles and stuff, and then we stopped off for petrol, which was another thing that was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
We filled up the tank because it was pretty much on empty.
Yep.
And it cost £3 English
for the whole tub.
For a whole tub of butter that we bought in the shop.
No, the whole tub of petrol. It was, what was it, 28?
Fill up the tub, love.
28 litres, was it?
Yeah, it was like, it was crazy. What was that?
So cheap.
You got a fact about...
Oh, sugar, I've forgotten all my facts, Craig.
It's all right, we got time.
All right, so just to give you like a little fun fact of the day about Iran and that. Approximately 70% of Iran's population is under 30 years old.
Really?
Yeah, didn't know that.
Wow.
And Iran has one of the only condom factories in the Middle East.
No way.
Didn't know that either. One more fact. Since 2008, Iran has conducted more sex change operations than any other country in the world.
Really?
Second only to Thailand, yeah.
No way.
And they can also get financial assistance off the government if they need it.
Amazing.
Which is really cool.
That, you wouldn't think that, would you, of that country?
No, it really contradicts the other kind of... It contradicts this one, which is in Iran, men who do not marry stay with their natal family their entire life and are described as nomad, which means not a man.
Oh. Which
is a bit controversial.
Savage. I was after the fact about the oil.
Oh, sorry, the oil. Oh, I didn't actually write that one down. But basically, it's like one of the biggest exporters of oil.
Yeah.
And they produce like 4 million barrels of oil a day.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
So I don't think that's got anything to do with petrol.
No, but I think that's got a lot to do with why they are vilified the way they are.
Yeah, they got a lot of oil and
something
everyone
about
wants
the
it.
US one and the oil, and then they just bully them.
Always an ulterior motive in there.
Always, Craig, honestly.
So, yeah, we were at the petrol station, filled up, £3, couldn't believe it. Got Rashad on camera, and he loved it, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Amy filmed this whole section with him, and he said to her after, he's like, "Oh, you should have said I forgot to tuck in."
To suck in?
To suck in his
Yeah,
stomach.
suck in his belly. I was like, Rashad, you're fine.
So funny.
He's like, hello, welcome to my country. Everybody is waiting for you to come. And all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I love you.
So cute.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for us, the convoy was like the start of the fun, I think. Like, we always knew we were going to get on with the guys, but it was the start of the banter.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, our car was the slowest. So we learned early on that everyone was going to have to wait for us.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we got the name Team Chocolate Teapot like early on.
Yeah.
Probably day 2 of Iran.
It was incredible how much stuff we had on our car to weigh it down.
Yeah.
Obviously, Andre, who was decapitated, was still with us, very much so.
And all your bags.
And
like
our
7
back
bags you
box.
brought, didn't you?
No, that was Europe last year. Maybe 5, something like that. You know?
Another thing that Rashad told us at the petrol station was that, because we were saying about all the people and waving and stuff, and I did this, or someone did this with a thumbs up.
Oh yeah, just gave a thumbs up like to the passing cars.
And he was like, oh, if you do that to like the older generation in Iran, a thumbs up means the middle finger.
Yeah.
So he said like the younger people will understand that it's like a, okay, how you doing?
Yeah.
But he said, don't do it to old people because they'll think you're flipping them off. How funny is that?
I think we'd done it quite a lot before we had that advice.
Yeah.
So I hope we didn't offend anyone.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to Tabriz, which was the first city that we stopped in.
Tabriz.
So we were all starving. We've been in no man's land for forever, and we hadn't really eaten properly. So the first place that Rashad took us to.
Where did he take us, Craig?
He took us to a kebab house.
Oh,
didn't he?
kebab house, wicked.
And the owner was actually super friendly. He was like really welcoming. He was so happy that we were all there.
Yeah.
And he took us upstairs, and it was the ceiling was so low you had to like duck to sit down.
Everyone had to duck, yeah.
So everybody had kebabs, and we ended up having rice and tomatoes for dinner.
Everyone said they were sick kebabs, though, as in good sick.
Yeah.
You know, it looked like a real authentic place, you know, with all the proper spices, and they had everything right, didn't they? Real Iranian food.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all we could have was rice with tomatoes, which wasn't great.
And do you remember we spotted that guy? He was working, he was like a young guy. And you were like, he looks like a supermodel.
Oh my God. Yeah, I remember. He was incredible looking.
Yeah.
And if, like, I don't know who the big model agencies are in America, but I did not know what I said. I'll take him on as my own client and I'll make a shitload of money off this guy. Yeah, he had a brilliant face.
Yeah, the Iranians are really good looking bunch of people.
Yeah. Some of them can have like really dark olive skin, but then the bright blue eyes.
Yeah, green eyes and stuff. Yeah.
Really intriguing faces. Yeah.
So we had rice and tomatoes, which became a theme for us.
It sure did.
And I think I'm surprised I didn't get scurvy. I'm surprised you didn't get scurvy in Iran.
We might have had it. We looked well dodgy. We lost a lot of weight.
So this is the start of the worst diet in history for the next 5 days.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we got to the hotel.
Our first hotel. We were driving for a long time, weren't we?
It was a very long drive.
It was a very jam-packed, long driving 5 days in Iran. Hot, also.
So, if you're married, you're allowed to have a room with a double bed, but we're not married, so we had 2 singles.
Yeah. Now, don't quote me on this, but I believe that if you're not married, you're not allowed to share the same room with a woman if you're from Iran.
Yeah.
But because we were foreigners, they allowed it.
Yeah.
So we just had 2 single beds.
So for the price we paid, I was thinking, this is going to be a luxury hotel. First one was a little bit sketchy.
Was it?
It was a bit sketchy, yeah.
Oh, we had the squatty potty.
Which I think is standard. And then we had this dodgy little shower, and the room looked like it was from like the 60s. It was like brown quilts and stuff.
Back in the day. But that is the kind of the feel of the country a little bit, isn't it?
I think that was more the budget that we paid.
Yeah.
Rashad took up most of it, I think.
Rashad was like, I'm going to make a wicked commission off this. We're staying in shittles.
So the first proper day we had was in Tabriz. And this is the first day we'd had off for ages to just walk
driving,
around.
yeah.
So we were so relieved. We were like, yes, this is going to be great. But this is the first day you would have had in the heat walking around.
Yeah.
So Amy woke up and you felt a bit anxious, didn't you?
It became a thing, not on the rally, but like traveling in general. Because I'm a fainter, when I know it's going to happen, it freaks me out and I get really anxious. So at about 4:00 that morning, I was awake and my heart is going and I'm trying to talk myself out of it. And I'm like, just stop. Like I would rather just faint than have the panic and anxiety of thinking I'm going to do it. That's so much worse than just the actual fainting itself. So I woke up, I had a really bad stomach. I was on the toilet for a long time. It just takes it out of me. It drains me completely and I was so tired. And yeah, I think the reason was because I was very much afraid of fainting because the heat was unbearable.
Yeah.
And we had a full day planned and I just didn't want to ruin anyone's plans. It was more of us now for me to wreck our plans for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit of a slow start and a bit vulnerable that morning, I think.
Yeah. But as soon as we got out, there was like a nice breeze. It was actually really windy that day and it wasn't too hot. So Rashid took us up to a cable car. So we went to the top of the city and it's mad because you could see the whole thing. It was like surrounded by kind of like deserty, sandy looking mountains. And then from the top, you can just see the city. And super like hustle and bustle whilst you're in the city. There's loads of people out on the streets. It's a little bit like India in a way where everybody's out and about and everyone's like, sat outside their shops drinking tea and stuff like that.
Love that. Yeah.
There's like a real sense of community in there when you're in the city. So we went to the top of the cable car and we just had loads of conversations with people, didn't we? We just met loads of people.
I love that a lot of people can speak English.
Yeah.
Because you definitely, Iran isn't one place that you assume people can speak English in, the locals. But we met a brilliant girl, didn't we?
Yeah.
So when we were going up, coming back down on the cable car, me and Jess joined a bunch of girls. And they were all like giggly and like excitable and they were like, come in our car. So we did. And I just took the opportunity to sort of ask them a bunch of questions on how they felt about their country and how they felt about wearing the hijabs and, whether they felt like it was whether they liked it or not. And so the main girl, her name was Sarah.
Yeah, so lovely.
She was amazing. She's actually a PhD student in chemistry, which I was like, wow, go on, girl.
Yeah.
She had this big, bright, massive smile full of braces and obviously the beautiful hijab on. And she said, I love wearing it. I'm very proud to wear it.
Okay.
But there was a girl next to her. She was slightly younger, and she said, "I don't like it.
Oh, really?
She'd rather not wear it." But I think as we moved towards like the capital cities, the girls didn't really wear them as much.
Cities.
Capital city, or cities. As an older traditional woman, they would wear all black.
Yeah.
All of it. Like they wouldn't even put a foot out of place. But some of the younger girls would have like red lipstick on or, they would dye a piece of their fringe like blonde or something, which I thought was really cool. And it just shows how sort of the future's coming up and it's sort of changing like, their culture and the way, everyone's a bit more rebellious at that age, aren't they? And I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, we just had some wicked conversations. It was, like I said, so many people were just so happy that we were there and they were just fascinated.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to talk to us for ages. And they all spoke super good English.
Yeah. And they would say to you, like, I'm so proud of you for coming to my country.
Yeah.
Like, they must know the bad rep that they get. And then they say they're proud because this might have been a scary thing that you thought, but it's not.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming to my country.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that. Someone comes to Wales, you go, thank you for coming to my country.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what?
I know. Fuck off, mate.
All right, babes. It's just Wales. It's only Wales. Like.
I know. But it's so nice because they like take pride in it.
Super proud, yeah.
Yeah. So Tabriz was cool. We were kind of in and out.
Yeah.
So we got back on the road because although we had 5 days, we had 1,000 miles from border to border.
Is that what it was?
So it was probably more because Rashid took us on that mad detour up to that castle. So it was we probably did 1,200 miles through Iran.
Yeah, man.
In 5 days.
Rashid was off my Christmas list that day, I swear.
So as we were driving, we got on the road, and there was loads of like Iranian flags everywhere, which is super cool, like lining the streets.
Yeah.
And not far into it, we were pretty shit in Fferanda. Like, Fferanda babes let us down on multiple occasions. But the second shittest, I think, was the blue poo.
Oh, yeah.
So Rob and Robin, so Rob's from England and Robin's from the Netherlands, and they were driving a Volkswagen Polo, which was a blue colour, but everyone called it the blue poo.
Well, it had lost its L from Polo.
Oh, yeah.
Hence the word poo.
Ah, is that what it was? Yeah, I never knew that. And so as we were driving, they pulled over and we had to go back for them, and we lost the convoy. So it was just us and them, and they torn their fuel line. So there's just like all this fuel leaking all over the floor.
Yeah.
And so we were like scratching our heads, like, what are we going to do? And then out of nowhere, this truck driver pulls in, this Iranian guy, and he couldn't speak English, so they were kind of just pointing and communicating with, looking at stuff.
He actually scratched his head, and I was like, I know what that means. He's thinking. What do I do here?
Basic communication.
Yeah.
So yeah, he figured out what had happened. He went to his car. He took a pipe off his radiator, and he basically just fixed the boys' fuel line for them
with his own, like,
with a piece of his car.
Yeah.
What a guy!
Like, getting on the floor, he had suit trousers on, and I was like, "Oh, you're gonna get real dirty, babes."
He
but
was
got under there, and I just
he was straight in there, wasn't he?
Wouldn't accept money off him either, would he?
Yeah. So the boys were like buzzing because they couldn't believe he'd done it.
He fixed it,
and they tried to pay him, and he didn't want any money, so they ended up giving him a coffee cup, and he was over the moon with that.
He was buzzing with it. I love that story. Like, we gave him a coffee cup, and he like held his heart, and he was just like, "Oh, like, thank you, I love it." Yeah, and instead of like shaking hands, then because he had all oil, he didn't want to shake their hands, so they all fist bumped.
Yeah,
it was just lovely.
It was one of the most special moments I think we had on the rally. So like a selfless act of someone just being like, "I'll fix it for you and take apart my vehicle,
my car, and I don't want anything for it." Yeah,
unbelievable. And it happened within minutes as well. We were only there 5 minutes, and he pulled in.
Yeah.
So and then I think as we drove on, we stopped at like this melon. It was like a melon pull-in. You could just like eat melon on the side of the road. Didn't we buy melon for a bunch of people there? It was like a few Iranian kids and stuff.
I think so. Yeah.
And he was there.
Cheap, yeah.
So nice.
Lovely.
So we were making our way to the Blue Dome, which apparently is the 3rd highest dome in the world.
Wicked. I did have thoughts that, you know, the one on EastEnders, that Millennium Dome, definitely bigger than that.
Yeah, but this is like, wasn't it like the 3rd highest brick dome or something like that?
Yeah, it was brick dome,
Brick dome, like.
Wicked, Rashad, thanks very much.
But it was like a super calm place, wasn't it? Like the views from the top were really nice, and inside it was nice and cool.
Scaffolding, obviously.
Scaffolding, yeah.
Everywhere we go, it's always scaffolding.
Yeah, we're like, come see this famous monument covered in scaffolding.
Yeah. Oh, that amazing Neuschwanstein castle in Germany. Oh, scaffolding.
Scaffolding, mate.
Wicked.
But yeah, again, we just got a chance to meet some locals, and the girls loved you, didn't they? I think all the local young Iranian girls, they were fascinated that like Amy and Jess and the other Amy had the get-up on. So you had so many photos, didn't you?
I think it was more that we had blue eyes because everybody would stare into our souls.
Really?
But it wasn't scary. They were like smiling, just like, "You are so beautiful." They would say this, and I would just want to cry because I would think they were beautiful, and I'd be like, "Look at you.
Yeah.
You're amazing looking." And just the fact that I guess they're a bit more suppressed as women and can't really do as much as we could, because obviously I've got blonde hair, not naturally, but I think a lot of women were just like, "Oh wow, blonde hair," you know.
Yeah,
it's mad. But yeah, the amount of pictures with women was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it was cool, wasn't it?
Power to the women.
Yeah,
girl power.
I just loved Rashad. The dome was like, but Rashad's like showing us around, and he was trying to get us to count to 10 in Farsi. Was it Persian?
Yeah.
And he just loves it, and you could tell the passion. He's like,
he's got
this
so
is
much energy.
Yeah,
he's like a little kid though, wasn't he? With his energy.
He's so cool.
I loved him.
And then after that, he was like, I'll take you to this shop where they sell like really cool knives. So all the boys were like, yes, we'll get some knives. And he like, it was amazing. Like took us to this little shop, and this guy had all these like handcrafted like knives with like wooden handles. And so all the boys were like getting their arms. He was like shaving their arms, showing them how sharp it was. Yeah. So yeah, the boys got a couple of souvenirs. I think Will bought one, didn't he?
I think so.
And then we made our way to the next hotel. It was a little bit posher. I think what he did was he gradually took us to better and better hotels.
Yeah, it was a good mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it was like amazing, the drives were still so long, and we would get into the hotels at like midnight.
Very late, yeah.
And because there was like so many of us, they were having to scan like 14 passports. So we would be sitting there for ages, just dying to lay down, just waiting for our room.
Yeah.
The next day, Rashad was like, I'm going to take you to this place. It's going to be sick. He's like, there's going to be these old ruins.
No. There was no mention of ruins, Craig.
He told us it was a castle.
He told us it was a castle.
And the drive was one of the toughest on our cars we'd ever done. It was like extremely hot again. It was like in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So our car overheats anyway, and it was like super mountainous and hilly. So on the way to the castle, because the scenes were so incredible, I was like, we've got the drone, I know his stash, but Rashad's quite cool. Maybe we should ask him if we can fly it.
Yeah.
So when we stopped to take some photos and stuff, I said, Rashad, can we fly the drone? He was like, I'm not sure. And then he called his boss, and his boss was like, absolutely no way, do not do it.
Nope.
And I'm so glad that he said that, because there was a story on the rally, I'm pretty sure we mentioned it in a documentary, but there was 2 Australian guys who, for some bizarre reason, thought it would be a good idea to fly their drone near the border.
Yep.
And they got followed by like special services.
Yep.
Like kind of like CIA equivalent.
Yep.
And they followed them, and then they thought they were spies, so they arrested the boys. They put like
They got them and they put bags over their heads.
Oh my God.
Which is the terrifying start. Do you know what I mean? They got taken into like custody, I guess. Got full boiler suited up.
Mental.
And didn't know where they stood, didn't know who to call, didn't know what was happening, or were they getting like questioned?
Yeah, so I think they weren't given their phone call in the first couple of days, but
everything was taken off them.
Yeah,
phones, wallets, passports, everything.
And then eventually they let them call somebody, and they called like some sort of Australian embassy number.
Yeah,
there was a special name for it, but they called them, and they had to send someone in, didn't they, to kind of rescue them. So when they figured out that they weren't spies, they like apologized, and they put them up in like a 5-star hotel, and they gave them gifts and things like that.
Yeah, they brought them gifts, which was
really strange.
I know. I mean, they're probably just like, oh, my bad.
Really sorry. This hotel's lush
mistake.
though.
I didn't mean it.
Here's a knife.
Here's a watch.
So then I don't know why they did it, because I don't think they told them to.
Well, I think it was because of the ordeal. They were there for, I don't know how long they were there for, but they were there for longer than a day. Like,
yeah.
So they were just like, that fucking drone, I wish we'd never have taken it.
Yeah.
So when they got the chance, they smashed it to pieces, didn't they?
Yeah, they kicked it apart in front of the guards. They might have even told them to do that. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think they did.
So yeah, they were lucky that they knew who to call. Because like, imagine we got arrested. I wouldn't even know who to ring. Would you?
Boris Johnson.
Not that twat.
Oh. Excuse me, Boris. Excuse me. I know you're a bit of a twat, but I'm in a bit of a predicament here.
You're in a bit of a pickle in Iran. So yeah, we kept driving. Basically, we got to this fortress, we got to like 2,000 meters in the car. So it was like super high altitude.
Yeah. And
then Rashad was like, we just got to walk up that mountain.
Small hike. I'm like, hike?
Amy was back of the pack. Ian was ahead of Amy. And Ian, he's a big fella. He's like 18, 20 stone.
I don't know. But yeah.
Ian was lapping you, wasn't he?
I am ridiculous, I swear. When I saw the cable car was broken, I was like, nope, not for me. But everybody was going, and I thought, this is kind of once in a lifetime chance kind of thing. But it was like, 60-degree angle? It was, and the heat.
Yeah.
And flip-flops as well. So there's that. And yeah, we got to the top. There was fuck all there. I was literally like, Rashad, where's the castle? Where is the castle? So it's the ruins. And I was like, yep, yeah. But you didn't say there was ruins. Where's the bloody castle?
Yeah. To be fair, the views...
And he's like, okay, back down then.
Yeah.
Like, oh, boy. You're lucky I didn't choke slam him.
The views were insane, but it wasn't worth the drive.
I mean, call me ungrateful, but I'm not one for a view. I don't give a shit. I'd seen it the day before on the cable car. A couple of rooftops, like... Get me an ice cream.
So ungrateful.
I am a twat.
He did tell us, I am a twat.
When I'm hot, I'm a proper twat.
You are a massive twat.
Watch yourself now. Didn't give you permission.
So yeah, he did tell us a cool story. I can't remember what it was, but it was the history of this castle. Can you remember it? Some ninja guy.
I was going to say Mongolians, but that's not true, is it? Coming in and
Not
invaded.
sure.
Anyway.
Google it if you want to know.
Anyway. Yeah, if you want to know, I'll give you a Google.
We got back on the road, and the worst part was the drive that we'd just done, which was one of the toughest on the cars we'd done for ages. We had to do it again. So back up and down these mountains, winding roads, and then we started getting on like the flat ground again on the way to the next city. And I'm not sure why we pulled over. I think there was a car, and she was waving us over. So we pulled over on the side of the road, and there was this lady, and she was a journalist, and she was so friendly. She had this huge, like a big wad of bread, like folded over her arm.
Yeah, it was like wraps kind of thing, like pita.
Like massive, what are they called? The wraps you get?
Rotties.
No, the wraps you get in Tesco, what are they called?
Wraps? They're called
like,
wraps.
No, there's like a name from in there, like the brand. I was going to compare it to that.
Oh,
but
I'm not sure. Sorry about that. Joke ruined.
Ruined. So basically loads of bread hanging over her arm.
Yeah.
Probably not that hygienic.
I don't care.
But she was like, who wants some bread? Well, she didn't say like that. We had this running joke where we could only eat bread, or we'd be like, bread. So she gave us bread, and she was basically like, I'm so proud. She was the one who said it. She said, I'm so proud that you're in my country. In
her language. So Rashad was a translator.
Yeah. And she said she was very happy that we were visiting Iran. Thank you so much for visiting Iran. And she invited us to her house for dinner. She wanted to cook for all of us. It was like 14 people. We probably wouldn't have even fitted.
Yeah.
But I was gutted because we were behind anyway. We had to keep driving, so we had to say no.
I know.
But I wish we'd have gone to ours. It was brilliant.
Amazing. Yeah, just the local experience, you know. That's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we travel for.
So we ended up getting to Tehran. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Tehran. Factual fact happening here.
Hit me with a fact.
Tehran is the capital of Iran, and it's home to 12 million people.
Wow, is that many? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what Tehran means?
No.
Warm slope.
There was no slopes at all in Tehran, was there?
It doesn't matter. That's what it means.
Okay.
Warm slope.
Maybe they flattened it out.
Yeah.
So Rashad took us on a whirlwind city tour.
Yeah, on the hottest day.
Start again. So Rashad took us on a whirlwind tour of the city.
Yeah, hottest day of the year.
It was so hot.
I was like, Rashad, what are you playing at? Like,
we all walked from the hotel to go to this palace, and we crossed about 2 streets, and we were all just dying. He was like, should we stop for some like watermelon drinks?
Yeah.
We were all just in the shade, like trying not to die.
Literally, like the sweat would be dripping down your back.
Yeah.
You just felt so sticky and horrible. Yeah.
But those watermelon shakes were off the charts.
Yeah, that was a cantaloupe. Is that right?
What's that?
That's a different kind of melon. That's what they were. Yeah.
Posh.
Yeah, they were lush.
So we went to the Colston Palace, which was like super posh.
Colston?
Yeah, that's Golestan.
Okay.
How would you say it?
Colston.
Golazzo.
You're shit. Honestly, I'm going to take over.
Oh yeah, I forgot about these.
Yeah.
Inside.
So we went
Inside.
the Colston Palace. And Rashad said, if you want to try and
Reach out.
the window, you can get a cool breeze on your arm.
Shut up, man. Carry on.
It was incredible, wasn't it? It was like, so we'd seen like these hotels that we were staying in, which were like bog standard. And then we saw the other end, and it was, honestly, it was immaculate. There was like mosaic tiles on everything. There was like mirrors everywhere. It was like so plush.
Red carpets, like, expensive looking
Like
stuff.
a palace. It was a palace.
Yeah.
Like it was unbelievable.
Colston Palace.
Colston Palace.
Gives away a little bit.
So we had to put these little, what do you call them? Like
foot
covers on our shoes so we
yeah.
didn't damage the floor.
Yeah.
And take our shoes off.
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful, wasn't it?
Stunning it was.
Stunning. You can imagine how much money Iran's got, though, being like an oil exporter. You know, how
Minted.
the other half live, innit?
Minted, mate.
Yeah.
And yeah, after that, we just walked through the city. We went to the bazaar. Rashid was like, I'm going to take you to one of the oldest and most famous restaurants in Tehran. He was like, they've got this dish on there. It's definitely vegan. You're going to love it. It's like this rice cake thing.
Yeah, we were buzzing.
I was like, yes, some actual food. Because this is day 3 now, and we literally eaten rice and tomatoes and like bread and jam.
Noodles as well, yeah.
Get there. Rice and tomatoes, Craig. That's all they've got. Are you happy with that?
Fuming he was. Absolutely fuming. He left. He fucked off. He just went.
See you later, mate.
See you later.
See you later, mate. I'm worth more than rice and tomatoes. I was raging because I was hungry as well. The worst part was like, I was hangry.
Oh, don't speak to Craig when he's hungry. He will batter the shit into you. I swear.
Long-
Not out of you, into you.
I'll batter shit into you. Long story short, I couldn't find Amy because she was hiding behind a pillar in the restaurant. So when I stormed out, I went to look for food, couldn't find any, went back to find Amy, and I thought she wasn't there, but she was. So I spent 40 minutes walking around the bazaar thinking Amy got kidnapped by someone.
You were so scared, like
I was. I don't know why.
genuinely.
I think because I hadn't eaten, my brain wasn't functioning. I probably was on the border of scurvy. So I was in a state.
She's been kidnapped.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that because everyone was friendly there.
Yeah.
Someone actually commented, they're like, oh, you're saying Iran's friendly and then you think your missus got kidnapped. I was like, mate, I was hangry. What do you expect?
Come to my house now. I'll have you.
I'll batter shit into you.
I'm talking to my boyfriend like, I'll have you now.
And then we went home because that day was so hot. We went to the bazaar. You bought some more curtains than you to wear on your head.
It wasn't even curtains. It was just material.
Yeah.
And it didn't like lay nicely, but whatever. I was fuming that I didn't get like a lovely Iranian get-up gear.
I know.
Yeah, it just didn't come about.
Too stingy, in you.
A little bit.
So we went home for some rest, and then Rashid said to us, he was like, I've actually found a vegan restaurant. And I was like, yes, finally we can eat some proper food.
I thought it would be something nice, but it was incredible.
Oh, it was next level. We had pizza and lasagna and chocolate gateau cake. It was Ian's birthday.
Yeah.
So
we had like chicken bites, but they weren't chicken, obviously.
Yeah,
and
chicken bites.
Like kebab things or anything you could have wanted, they had on that menu. So we ate like kings.
It was
big
so
doggy
good.
bag coming home for us.
And the best part was like, it was a slap-up meal. We had 2 meals, 2 desserts, 2 drinks and the cake. And it was like 10 quid.
Yeah.
£10 for 2 people.
£10.
5 quid each for a slap-up meal. Amazing.
Love it.
Got to go back, haven't we? We need to speak to
100%.
Rashid and try and get back out there.
I mean, we've got him on Instagram. He likes our stuff all the time. I love Rashid.
Got back on the road the next day, and we'd actually done a carpool lottery, so we all swapped around. We ended up with Rashid and Robin in our car.
Yeah.
And they were loving it because we had aircon.
Yeah. I think everyone would be like, please, Craig and Amy's car, please, Craig and Amy's car, because of the aircon.
So I'm not sure where we were heading at this point, but Rob's car broke down again. The blue poo packed in again. Apparently he put too much oil in it. So we had to stop for that. And I remember stopping in that. It was just like a deserted shop in the middle of nowhere. Felt like we were in the middle of the desert. And it was just so blistering hot. It was unbelievable heat. And then we kept driving for a bit longer, and then we got pulled by the police. And we'd actually been pulled by the police like as we came into Iran, and they just wanted to shake our hands. They were like shaking our hands, like welcome to our country, and they were super friendly. So when we got pulled again, I was thinking, oh, they just want to say hello. And this time they were a bit more strict, weren't they?
A bit more serious, yeah.
So Rashid was in our car, and he was having to like talk him around a bit and explain what was going on. And they were being very like stern and proper. They took all of our passports and they like properly checked them, didn't they? We had to stand in the shade. He told us to get all the cars. And they told you to like take care of your hijab.
Take care of your hijab. I was like, watching me bala.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I got a bit fruity, didn't I? And I started wearing it like with a fringe out and stuff. And I thought he was just like, you're so disrespectful. So I just started wearing it as a proper hijab then. Wrapped around the head, with no hair in sight. Looked like a little potato.
So we were actually heading to our last stop in Iran, and Fferanda had been an absolute mare. Like, we hadn't talked about the car much because it just became the norm. But the back piston had broken, so every time you go over a bump, the whole car was bouncing.
And you would hit.
Yeah, like boom,
like
boom.
Your coccyx would hit on metal.
Yeah,
it was so.
It was like the frame was hitting the top of the wheel.
Yeah.
So we needed to get to a garage badly. I think everybody else did as well.
Yeah.
And we knew that because the roads were actually really good in Iran. There was no potholes.
Yeah.
It was like super clean tarmac.
Awesome.
But we'd heard that in Turkmenistan, once you get out of Ashgabat, the roads are diabolical.
This is where it would get interesting.
Yeah. So we were like, right, let's fix our car and do something, get rid of that back box, which weighed a ton.
Yeah. We
So
didn't really get rid of it though, did we? We just
we just stuck it on the roof.
replaced it somewhere else.
So we ended up getting the piston fixed, and we got to the garage, and they thought that they heard Seth's accent, and they thought that Seth was American.
Yeah.
And they were really standoffish, the guys, and we were like, "Oh, can we get it done today? We need this, this, and this." And they were like being really arsey, and even though Rashid was there translating, and then Seth noticed one of the guy's ears. It was like all cauliflower ear.
Cauliflowered.
And Seth used to be a wrestler. He was like Canadian champion or something.
Right, yeah, he was.
Yeah. So Seth was like, "Oh, you're a wrestler." And then, so they started wrestling. He started wrestling with this guy. It was mad.
In the middle of the garage, just like Canadian and Iranian just fighting.
Yeah, so then they kind of were chatting more through Rashid, and he found out that Seth was Canadian and not American. So he was like, "Oh, we can do it for you tonight."
Canadian.
And then their whole demeanor changed, which is mad.
Yeah.
And I found it so interesting because, like we were saying about how Iran's portrayed to us in the media, we guess it's the other way round for Iranians.
Do you remember? This has just come to me now. You remember we saw that bit?
I was just going to say.
What did it say?
So I saw this huge billboard in the middle of the motorway when we were driving past it, and it was like big red writing, and
was it graffiti or was it a proper?
It was. No, it was. I think it was graffiti.
Okay.
I think it was just written by someone.
Yeah.
And I said, "Rashid, what does that say?" And he said, "It says down with America."
Down
and
with
I was
America,
like, oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
So even though like we had a great time, there's still like these underlying things with Iran and America. But yeah, that garage was a prime example of how as soon as he knew we weren't American, he was like super receptive and happy to help us.
Yeah.
So stupidly, we asked them for this roof rack, and they used this wrought iron cage that weighed an absolute ton.
Oh goodness!
It was massive. It
Probably
definitely
like football field size. Pretty huge.
Well, it was like putting a queen size bed on your car.
Yeah, it was not legal, and it hung over the side of the whole car. It was massive.
It was so big that we could put the whole back box in it, and there was still room for like the dinosaur and all of our bags.
Oh yeah, we all could have slept up there. It was amazing.
Yeah, so we got that sorted. Went for some food in one of the local restaurants, and because they don't have alcohol, we had like this malt beverage stuff.
Yes, it's illegal to drink alcohol in Iran. Yeah.
And they actually served brain. They did a brain sandwich, which was revolting.
Yeah, Seth had it.
Seth ate it. It was actually cow brain.
He was like, "Yeah, it just tastes like good. Just tastes like good beef.
It just tastes like a good steak."
Yeah, that's how he sounds. Yeah.
So that was quite mad. I had some chips.
I can't remember what I had. Probably just like a leaf or something.
And then one of the last places that Rashid took us was the oldest mosque in Iran, which is actually 7,000 years old.
Yeah, that's not that old.
7,000 years old?
Yeah, that's not that old.
For a mosque, that's old as shit, mate.
7,000. Really?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll take your word for it.
7,000 years?
If it was like 7,000 BC or something, I'd be like, whoa, yeah. Okay, now we're talking. Before the Christ our Lord was born. I'm not religious. I'm not sure where I'm going with this. Something overtook my soul then.
You're right. Do you need Jesus?
I'm still tired.
So we walked around the mosque, and then Rashid was like, I want to sit you all down and I want to tell you some things, because we'd asked him about like ISIS and the effect it had on the country.
Yeah.
So basically he told us the history of ISIS and suicide bombers.
Yeah.
And he told us that suicide bombers are found, some of them have been found to have a spoon and a fork in their pocket after they've carried out the act.
Yeah.
Because they think that they'll meet and have a meal with Mohammed in paradise.
That's like
That's what they're sort of brainwashed into thinking. And he basically just said, this is like a quote from what Rashid said on the video. He said, "I tell people that I'm Muslim and they look at me like, oh, you're a Muslim." Oh no, this is your quote from you.
This is what you said. Yeah.
And everything you see in the media about ISIS, Muslims they kind of get the brunt of it in society sometimes. And Rashid had experienced it in his life, and it was just so sad to hear, wasn't it? Because he's just the friendliest guy in the whole world, and yeah, for him to say to people, "I'm a Muslim," and then they go, "Oh, you're a Muslim,"
they
just
judge him differently. Yeah, it's not cool.
Not cool at all.
Didn't he say that ISIS main targets are Shia people?
Yeah,
which is their people also.
Yeah,
and I can't tell you how many people that live in Iran are against ISIS. Like, you just can't judge a book by its cover. You cannot like tar everybody with the same brush.
Yeah,
that's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And it got very emotional because just the warm welcome we had, the amount of beautiful people we'd met, the kind faces, you know, the lovely welcomes, and then for him to go on and say, you know, people judge us as terrible people. I was just like, I cried.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking.
It really
so
was.
Unfair.
Yeah.
Like, you can't change that. You know what I mean? You can't change that. All we can do as me and you is recommend that people go to Iran and experience this for themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Experience the people, the actual people, not what the government says, and not the bad shit like the suicide bombers. That's not Iran. Do you know what I mean? That's the small percentage of assholes who are just scum of the earth.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of the finish, and it was like bittersweet because we were so gutted that we were going to leave Rashid. It was so emotional saying bye to him.
Yeah.
Remember, we all hugged him, and he was just so. We like all chipped in together, and we gave him like a massive tip as well.
Yeah.
And
did we give him a back box?
Yeah. So Rashid.
Our Thule back box.
Yeah. So no, we didn't give him the box, but we had the rack was actually for bikes.
Oh, yeah.
And Rashid said he cycled a lot, so we said, "Oh, do you want this like bike rack?"
Yeah.
And they were expensive, like £500 rack. And he was like, "Oh, I'd love it."
Yeah.
He said, "I'll ship it back." So we gave it to him, and he was over the moon with that.
Legend.
But he made the whole trip. Iran was like unbelievable, but without Rashid, it wouldn't have been what it was.
Definitely.
So yeah, that was our experience in Iran, and in 5 days, I felt like we saw so much. We met so many people, and we experienced like a good whack of the country. But he said, he was like, "This isn't even the most beautiful part." He said, "There's so much to see." He's like, "You have to come back."
Yeah.
So we gotta make it our mission to go back there.
I would love it, Craig. I would love to do, you know, not a bike because fuck that, but like, you know, like a motorbike. I'll go on the back.
Yeah.
Through the whole thing. I would love it more than love it. I really would.
I don't think we'd be allowed unless we put Rashid in like a little
Rashid's
sidecar.
Oh, he's coming. Little trailer.
So good. So yeah, a lot of people say like, "Where's your favorite place to go?" And I've forgotten how incredible the Iranian people were until we watched the videos back. And so as far as people go, Iran, number one on the list, 100%.
I mean, I have to say it, but like the Philippines was always up there, and India, but they've gone above, haven't they?
Yeah, Iran's number one for me.
Number one.
Yeah. Iran, Philippines, India, I think, for friendliness and welcome, making you feel welcome. So that's it. So thanks so much for listening, guys. On the next podcast, we will be talking about I can't even think of a word to describe it.
Flipping mental.
The fucking mental Turkmenistan.
Holy bejesus.
Turkmenistan. I never knew what it was, but we were about to have our minds completely and utterly blown.
Yeah, so Turkmenistan is actually a country, ladies and gentlemen, which we didn't know until we went there.
So you're going to want to tune in for the strangest podcast ever.
It is one of the most craziest, weirdest places we've ever been.
Fascinating.
So
yeah, thanks for listening. Leave us a review, like we said, on Apple Podcasts.
5-star.
5-star only.
Or
5-star or fuck off.
Or we'll kill your family.
If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, press subscribe, and make sure you click the little bell. And that's about it for now, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. See you next week.
1, 2, 3, bye.
Press the thing. Jesus, you're so unprofessional.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Reach out and 5.